Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we throw a fireball as a friendly wave, because this week we watched Flatline.
Written by Jamie Mathieson.
Directed by Douglas McKinnon.
And aired on October 18th, 2014.
My boy Doug McKinnon coming back.
Well, my boy
Dougie.
Jamie Mathieson coming back.
Your boy. I distinctly remember you not liking Mummy on the Orient Express.
That's okay. It's all just okay. Like, I didn't care for this one very much either.
Oh, I liked this one.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. Like, it was all right. It wasn't anything special. It was just okay. It was a solid middle of the road story, like maybe a 3 out of 5 on a good day, 2 out of 5 on a bad one, I would say.
Wow. You actually gave a story a numerical rating. Now do the 200 stories you've done before this one.
I've done like 3 of them, I think.
Well, I'm waiting for you to do the 200 prior to this one. Right now. Here we go.
I'll do it on Twitter.
Okay. Wow.
I'll do like one. Well, I'll say once a day now, but I know that's not going to happen. I don't go on Twitter that often. By the way, if you are one of the couple of people who interacts with me on Facebook, I'm never on there, so I just wanted to get that out there. I've been wanting to say that recently. But yeah, I'll do numerical ratings on Twitter, I guess. I don't know how long it'll take to do all of them.
You should do them on scales out of some really random number.
No, I'm not going to do like the Zenith thing where it's like we give them a rating out of whatever happened to be in the episode. No, I'll do like 1 through 5. 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest.
Are you going to do 0.5s in that scale?
No. If I was going to do that, might as well just do it out of 10.
So why not do it out of 10?
No,
you say that you can rank every story on a 5-point scale?
Yep.
With no conflicts where you're like, this could be a 2 or a 3 like you just did like not 5 minutes ago? So if you're doing it on a 10-point scale, you could just say it's a solid 5. Yeah,
but when the 10 out of 10 scale just seems a little too, I don't know, arbitrary. Like, what's really the difference between like a 6 and a 7 and a 5 and a, I don't know. It's just
what's really the difference between a 2 and a 3?
That's more tangible.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's smaller scale. It's easier to grasp.
Doesn't
easier
necessarily
to wrap
make
your mind around.
Doesn't necessarily make it more tangible.
Now, maybe to you. Maybe to you.
I think we should rate everything on a 100-point scale.
Okay, so do you do that on your Twitter?
No.
You want to do this? Do it on your own Twitter.
Pretty sure I'm on Twitter even less than you now.
Well,
as evidenced by the fact I totally forgot to tweet about the last 2 episodes until a day later.
Oh, well, I didn't forget. I just didn't do it.
Well, you had an excuse.
Yeah, I have mild excuse, a mildly acceptable excuse. But no, I'll do a 1 through 5 scale for all the episodes.
Why not 0 through 5? What's stopping you from using 0?
Nah, I don't want to.
What about -1?
I just want to do 1 through 5.
Okay. So Jamie Mathieson apparently pitched 4 ideas to Stephen Moffat at once, and this is the one that Stephen Moffat went with.
Yeah, well, I mean, according to the Doctor Who magazine scans, he first went in...
That I acquired.
Yeah. Jamie Mathieson first... I guess this predates this story and Mummy on the Orient Express, but he at first didn't get accepted
apparently
to write Doctor
like 2
Who.
years before this episode.
Yeah.
So that would have been in the Matt Smith era.
Yeah.
Moffat was like, no.
Yeah, but now he's in business. Now this one was actually done first before Mummy on the Orient Express.
Yeah, because I think we mentioned last week that he was asked to do that one after he wrote this story.
Yeah, kind of like Neil Cross, I guess.
Neil Cross, version 2.
And has Jamie Mathieson been back? Has he?
He has actually.
Oh,
in
damn.
series. I don't think he comes back in series 9. I think he has one in series 10, or maybe I've got that backwards.
Huh.
One of the 2 seasons, he's got another story.
That's interesting. Well, according to him, like a lot of the original idea behind this story kind of seems like it doesn't resemble the final product very much. Other than the monsters, I guess Jamie Mathieson pitched the idea of look at these really interesting monsters, kind of harkening back to the classic era where they had all these wild ideas for the creatures. Some of them stuck, some of them didn't.
Bro, the Crotons are coming back. I'm telling you. And the Dominators. And Quillian. Well, I think...
He died. Didn't he?
Doesn't mean we can't do a prequel.
Yeah, it's true. Wait, Quillian was just a cover for that specific situation.
Still doesn't mean we can't do a prequel.
It was Bennett all along, don't you remember? How could you forget Bennett?
Great, the most forgettable villain in Doctor Who history. How could I forget? Well, maybe he stole the likeness of a real alien species.
I think he did, didn't he? I don't remember. It's been so long. It's been so damn long.
It's been 27 years or whatever. Well, the other thing is that the initial conception of the story had the Doctor a lot more involved in the actual story.
Yeah, this wasn't a Dr. Light episode to begin with.
But apparently for scheduling reasons, they had to make it so.
Yeah.
But I think it actually worked out pretty well. Mathieson talks about how he thinks that if you watch it, you could imagine that the original conception was that it would be a Dr. Light episode, but he says that that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, they did a good job working in the sort of humor between Clara and, the Doctor, on her earpiece and stuff into a story that originally didn't have all of that.
Right.
And I would have never guessed that they kind of shoehorned that stuff in last minute-ish.
Well, then I think they executed it pretty well.
Yeah, they did. Really, I really like... I mean, Jamie Mathieson even said in the interview that he thinks that whole thing of the Doctor being, in the miniaturized TARDIS in her bag and whatever is one of the most memorable things from the episode. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think
that's
so too.
what I would remember the episode most for.
And he also said that he's
boneless.
He's surprised that nobody thought of doing this in Doctor Who before.
Well, it was Planet of the Giants.
I was going to say there was Planet of the Giants.
No, that doesn't count.
It kind of counts. But we didn't really see... That was the... Well, I guess that doesn't really count because the Doctor and co. also got shrunk in that one. And we didn't really see them picking up a tiny TARDIS. Yeah. It was kind of like they just landed on a planet of big things.
Yeah,
That's why it was named Planet of the Giants. The biggest twist of that episode was that it was... The Planet of the Giants was just Earth. And it was only the Giants because of the Doctor's foolishness. Leaving the TARDIS door open.
You insolent fool.
Getting crushed by time pressure. I don't know why I still remember that it's called time pressure.
Well, the same reason I remembered Bennett. Oh no, actually I remembered Bennett because he's a character in Lava Pirates, the Doctor Who fanfic that I wrote.
Probably why. Well, I was going to say, I was updating the episode index the other day to more accurately represent our new title naming scheme, which took me half an hour to do. But anyway, I was working through the 5th Doctor episodes and I realized that I remember the plots of a solid none of them.
You don't remember Snake Dance?
Nope. I remember Snake Dance.
Black Orchid. You have to remember Black Orchid.
And the one with the Merca. And that's it. The entirety of season 20 is just gone.
You don't remember
I was looking at
Fort of Doomsday?
No. I was looking at the titles of the episodes and I was like, I don't remember this. Got no idea what this is. Margin Undead? No.
You don't remember Modron Undead with the Brig? You don't remember Enlightenment?
Bits and pieces. I remember very vague bits and pieces of it, but there's a solid 5 episodes in a row, and that era is just completely gone from my memory. I don't know why. Maybe I was hard into drugs or something. It's gone.
That was the 4th and 2nd Doctor's era for me when I was going through and actually updating the names. I was like, I don't remember any of this.
Pyramids of Mars.
Well, I mean, I remember that one specifically for not paying attention at all when watching it.
That shouldn't count. Well, anyway, the story begins with the Doctor landing, bringing Clara back to her home.
London.
Well, he lands way off base.
Yeah, in Bristol. I don't know where Bristol is, but I think it's just somewhere in England, far away from London. Yeah.
It's like those maps that are X location labeled by people in other locations, American map labeled by people in England.
Oh.
And it's just California, Texas, and then not Texas. London and not London. But they kind of awkwardly... Well, before that, there's a conversation where the Doctor's like, why are you, packing all your stuff up. We have literally infinite space in the TARDIS, right? And she's like, yeah, well, Danny, he's okay with us traveling, but like he's not okay with me leaving my stuff in here. This totally believable lie.
Well, the Doctor like rails in hard. This was my favorite part of the episode, is the Doctor being a jerk to everyone and anyone around him, and he really rails in hard because of all of Clara's lies and everything.
He goes in on Clara later on.
Yeah.
But they could then have this awkward exchange where they look at the door to the TARDIS and they're like, oh, it's smaller. That's kind of weird.
But they don't really make too much of it yet.
Well, because they can fit through the door still.
They leave the TARDIS and it's a lot smaller.
But like it's like chest height.
Yeah, it's enough for them to get out, which they do.
So Clara's like, okay, I'll go walk around. We actually skipped over the very start of the episode, which is actually a guy calling 999 going, help, I think they found me. And then he goes, ah! And then we see a mural of him appear on the wall.
Right.
But then Clara's like, yeah, I'll go look around.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious right away from that scene what exactly is going on.
Yeah, but it's like a police procedural where you see who commits... It's like a detective show. You see who commits the crime, and the entertainment is not in figuring out who committed the crime, but watching how the detective figures out.
I guess, yeah. It could have been interesting if they didn't have that scene, and it was just like... Because they introduce you to the mural stuff kind of now. It could have been, a mystery there, but, whatever. Wouldn't have been too interesting either way. I mean, what we got wasn't necessarily all that interesting anyway.
I think it was pretty interesting. It's a pretty unique Doctor Who villain, I think. Probably only good for a one-off. I don't think you could do anything else with them.
Well, you never know. Jamie Mathieson even said,
You never know. Stephen Moffat after introducing the Weeping Angels. Well, you never know.
Jamie Mathieson even said that there hasn't been, a villain like this in the history of Doctor Who.
Which is true.
And, yeah.
He said part of the way he came up with it was wondering, like, a villain that the TARDIS would know nothing about, because the TARDIS knows everything in the universe.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, when it's convenient. So there are some, I guess, I don't know what you would call this team, but they've been hired to paint over graffiti.
They're doing their community service, basically.
Yeah.
For being thrown in jail. Dun dun.
But one of them doesn't fit with the rest. He's obviously stands out because he's just a small time, like, yeah. He was just thrown in with the group because he's a graffiti artist himself.
His crime was just graffiti. I'm sure the other guys look like they've been committing crimes like a lone shark.
No, I mean, you don't find out what the other people's crimes were, but you get the idea that they were worse than, like, this kid.
They're being led by this old guy, who we're going to talk about in a second. But the Doctor goes... Well, I want to talk about it.
Okay.
The Doctor goes back into the TARDIS, flips some switches, and then the door shrinks again. He's like, great, now I can't get out.
But what's funny is that you can see that the shrinkage from the interior of the TARDIS, so you can see like this little mini door trapping him in.
Big enough for him to stick his face through, though.
Yeah.
As of right now.
And his hand. Haha. Comes back later in one of the greatest moments of the 2005 Doctor Who series.
But then Clara comes back and she's like, hey, where'd you go? And he's like, I'm literally right here. I'm literally in the same spot. She's like, oh, you're tiny. How cute.
Yeah, I love this reaction. Like, this was another great moment of the episode where, Clara could have freaked out at this, but instead she's just like, haha, that's awesome.
The Doctor's like, no, it's not. Something's sucking the energy out of the TARDIS. So he hands her his sonic screwdriver and psychic paper.
There's another sort of knowing, wink wink style line where Clara wonders what's causing all this, and the Doctor's like, possibly aliens. Oh, who am I kidding? Probably aliens.
It might not be aliens. Might just be
like the life force of the planet
thing,
right? They weren't aliens.
You hinting at the next episode?
Yes.
We're gonna hold on to that. We're gonna get there. But the Doctor is like, well, I'm gonna stay in here and try to figure it out. You just go figure out. You go investigate nearby. So she meets up with this guy, the graffiti artist. Rigsy is his name.
Yeah.
who in the greatest twist of all Doctor Who comes back later on.
What? What? This is like Wilf being revealed, or like the guy, you know, the convenience store guy being revealed to be Wilf.
I did say it was a big twist.
I mean, he was a cool character.
Yeah. He was fleshed out. He had a backstory.
I guess this is sort of like
personality.
No, this is like Craig coming back in a way.
Yeah. He has a personality, which is more than can be said about a lot of them. The story-specific characters, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think all the characters in this were good. Like, the other dudes didn't necessarily have as much as Riggsy, of course, but they served their purpose.
The old guy was hilarious at the end. He just... We'll get there as well.
So Clara's investigating.
Well, her and Riggsy go into this house. She pretends to be MI5.
I always think it's MI6. Is there another department called MI6?
No, there are. It's kind of like my understanding of it, and this could be totally wrong, but my understanding of it is like the CIA and the FBI. You know, the CIA is internal.
No, FBI is internal.
FBI is internal. CIA is external. So MI5 is like internal, and MI6 is external.
Huh. What happened to MIs 1 through 4? Were those... I think I read something about this. I might just be pulling this out of my ass, but, like, weren't MIs 1 through 4, like, actual things, but they closed, like, the departments and, like, they just iterated them or something?
I don't know why that reminded me that London Has Fallen has the worst goddamn villain motivation in existence, which is a disgruntled MI5 agent who's just like, do you know how much they pay us? Not enough, and he just commits all these terrorist acts because he's not getting paid enough.
I remember you ranting about this, like, when the movie first came out.
It's still so dumb. Still.
That's not even was that a big movie, or was it?
Yeah, it was like a big Gerard Butler sequel to Olympus Has Fallen. It's getting a third movie, so we're going to do it for Triple Play at some point, so brace yourself.
Apparently people didn't mind his reasoning behind having this terrorist character just be a disgruntled, government employee. Whatever. It's all the company, right? It's all just the company.
Right.
Isn't that what, like, CIA and FBI agents call, like, if they're talking in public about their work, they just say, like, the company or something? I think I heard that.
I don't know
either.
I feel like if we knew that it's not actually a thing.
Maybe they used to do it. Who knows?
So, Clara and Riggsy...
Riggsy is sort of...
Not to mention the Doctor gives Clara an earpiece that allows him to see everything she sees, which is how the Doctor's getting updates.
Yeah, so Riggsy is sort of taken it upon himself to investigate these deaths because the police aren't doing much, which I actually joke about later. They call in the cop and she's like, so we haven't been doing enough, we have no suspects, and we have no leads.
Yeah, she's kind of like, we've just all been kind of hoping that if we just ignore it, it'll go away. I'm like, oh my god, I wouldn't want to live in Bristol right now. Well, if I was a drug dealer, I would want to live in Bristol. On the flip side, I suppose. Then they notice... Well, first they break into the house of the guy who disappears at the beginning of the episode, and they see a mural of what they think is a desert on the wall, and they're like, that's kind of weird. Then they break into the house with the cop. They don't break in, but they get let in. And they see this mural on the wall, and the Doctor's like, wait a minute, that mural is a human nervous system just blown up and expanded.
This is like the Charlotte Perkins Gilman story, the yellow wallpaper, have you read that?
No.
That's a surprise because you read it in like every damn class.
Well, I didn't take any.
Okay, yeah.
My English class in college, we read J.D. Salinger works.
Huh.
Then my second one was a non-fiction based class, so.
It's interesting. There's an entire J.D. Salinger class?
Well, so the thing was every class has a theme. Every teacher who teaches that class teaches to a theme, and then that teacher picks what books they want to read.
They picked J.D. Salinger? So that's lame as hell.
They picked, A Good Day for Banana Fish and Franny and
I've read all those.
Zoe.
Didn't enjoy a minute of it, but I've read all of them.
The Banana Fish one is the best. They were all downhill after that.
The one where he exposes himself to an underage girl? Or is that a different one?
I think you think of a different one. That's the one where he goes to commit suicide.
Oh, yeah. They all just blend into each other after a while.
That was kind of the point, actually.
But anyway, what were we? What made us get onto this topic?
The yellow wallpaper.
Oh yeah, so it's just a story about. Well, it's not just a story. It's just. It's a story.
It's just a story.
Yeah, well, it's a story about.
Objectively,
the woman starts seeing things in the wallpaper, or not. I mean, you can take it any way you want, but
kind of like the telltale heart. Guy puts a body in his floorboards.
Yeah, well, they joke about that too. They're like, the classic solution to the locked room murder. They're still in the room. Where are they? And they're like, they're in the walls, type thing.
Yeah, well, the doctor's like second most common solution besides they're in the room. They're in the walls.
The Rats in the Walls, another short story by Lovecraft. Really good short story. One of my favorites of all time.
So I'll put it at the bottom of my list.
All right.
So the policeman disappears, and they're like, what the heck? And that's when they find the nervous system mule. But then the boneless, I'm just going to start calling them by their name already because it's going to be confusing to just call them the monsters.
Yeah.
Start phasing into the wall, and they're like, oh, shoot. And I guess whoever lived in this house before had one of those trendy hipster hanging from the ceiling seats.
Oh, yeah. So they jump on that, and the boneless can't get to them.
Well, they have to go through the ceiling chain because the boneless can't hop yet.
Yeah, they develop their powers fairly quickly over the course of the episode.
They are sucking the energy out of the TARDIS, though, so...
They're adapting!
But then, at that exact moment, Clara's phone rings, and it's Danny, and she's like, no, not now! Because this is when her lies are going to be all revealed. Because Danny's like, so where are you? And she's like, oh, I'm just helping the guy with a thing, And they're like swinging, and there's crashing, and Danny's like, are you okay? Seriously, what's going on? Hey, Clara. She's like, I'm fine. I'll tell you later.
Not to
Bye.
mention that Danny is being, stood up.
Then the doctor's like, wow, nice lie. She's like, yeah, I thought it was kind of forced. He's like, no, the one to me. She's like, wait, what? And he's like, you told me Danny was okay with it, but he doesn't even know, does he? And she's like, I was going to tell him eventually. And he was like, yeah, right, you were. Caught in her own lies.
Caught in a web of her own lies.
You might say it's the opposite of the web of truth.
This is why, you just have to keep track of all the people you lie to. This is the lesson here. It's like you just need to have a better memory and really stay on top of all this.
I think the lessons don't lie.
For some reason, I don't think that's the case. Could just be me. But that's not what I'm getting here.
Probably just you. There's a lot of things in this episode about lies, actually. Because then Clara meets back up with the rest of the gang at the tunnels, and the doctor's like, hey, look, we found all the missing people.
Yeah,
in the wall.
They've gotten to the... We didn't mention there's a what they think is graffiti in the tunnels, but it's people with their backs turned, and they're about to paint over, the people. But Clara stops them because these are obviously the people who had gotten sucked into the walls.
Well, she doesn't stop them until after one of the guys starts to paint over it and gets sucked into the wall. They're like, oh no. So then they run away into an abandoned train station.
Yeah, this is where the episode started to get a little worse, in my opinion. Up until this point, I was on board. I thought everything was pretty interesting. Here's where it's like, it seems to slow down a little bit. It seems to meander.
There's a little bit of padding in the second half of the episode,
yeah,
I think.
It just reminded me of, in the classic show when you got to episode 5 and it's just, or 4, and it's just like, all right, next 2 episodes are going to be just nonsense.
You just skip the next 2 episodes. Yeah. See you in the final episode.
Yeah. Who told you I did that? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Clara tries to fool the old guy with the psychic paper, and he's like, this is blank. And this is what I wanted to talk about, because the doctor's like, wow, it takes quite a lack of imagination to not get fooled by the psychic paper. This is the start of this old guy just being like, he just couldn't give 2 shits about anything. This old guy's just done with life.
As is Rigsy, apparently. But yeah, so I just heard of this condition recently called aphantasia, which I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's basically, it was only discovered like maybe in the last 5 years.
It does sound familiar.
And it's basically that you can't imagine images.
Ah, yes.
That you, like, if you close your eyes, like if you don't have this condition, you can close your eyes and like imagine a room, like a full layout of a room that doesn't exist. But people with this condition can't do that. They can see images only in the capacity that they can like remember what they've seen previously.
Yeah, they can't conjure up new ones.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, it's actually insane. Like I was reading some discussions about it online, and people who have it are like, man, it's insane that people can like just close their eyes and see a picture of an apple. And I was like, it's insane that you can't.
Yeah,
I didn't
you can't
say that, but I was thinking it. I was visualizing words.
You said it out loud to your computer screen. Anyway. Pretty wild. Anyway, they're running through the subway tunnels. Yeah, well, and the creatures are growing in strength. The old guy is eventually over the fact. Well, they start to communicate with the boneless. They try to communicate.
Worst name ever.
They try to communicate.
Talk about this name.
And the boneless just keeps saying numbers, and Rigsy points out that the number they're saying is the number on the jacket of the guy they just killed in the corridor, in the tunnel, I mean.
Yeah, wow, corridor versus tunnel, big distinction.
Is it, though?
Yeah, I mean,
is a corridor not just a tunnel?
The doctor, like, thinks that, like, hey, maybe they're not being hostile. Maybe they're, like, reading out the numbers as a way to communicate.
The doctor's trying really hard here.
Which is interesting because he's been trying really hard to, like, belittle everyone else in the episode, in all the other humans, that is, which was great. But no, the boneless read off the next number, and it's
22, I think.
Yeah, the next guy who's gonna die, and then his
name is George.
Yeah, they do one of these like perspective like paintings where it's like you think he's just standing there. Yeah, have you seen these things on like actual street art or whatever? Where like if you're looking at it from the right angle, it looks like you're looking into like a 1,000.
I haven't seen a real one in person. The closest one I've seen in person. Closest thing I've seen in person is at Downtown Disney.
Oh, wow.
They have these floral kind of arrangements that if you stand in the right place, they make floral arrangements of like Mickey and Minnie. But if you're like standing off to the side, it just looks like a line of floral arrangements. It doesn't do anything. It's pretty cool, actually. It's the same effect, though. Where it only works if you're standing in the exact right position.
Interesting. So that's what they do to George. They sort of move off to the side, and he's been painted on various objects and walls.
Turns out he's been taken. George!
Did George have a single line? I don't think so.
Don't think so.
Anyway, some other guy dies. The guy who's like, oh god, I think I'm next! And then he gets pulled off into the walls.
So it's just the old guy who I really should figure out what his name is.
Yeah, maybe we should.
His name is Fenton. He's played by Christopher Fairbank. Whoever that is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, so Fenton and Rigsy and Clara are the only ones left, and they fight over the TARDIS because Fenton's over Clara's freaking nonsense about being in charge and the doctor.
The doctor, you know, as soon as they had made their original escape, the doctor was like, you know, you gotta assert yourself as being in charge, Clara. Yeah. You gotta do it now before someone else does. So she does. Yeah. And I mean, I like this the Clara getting to play a more doctorish role, which she actually had been since the beginning of the episode. Yeah. She introduced herself as the doctor.
And the doctor's like, don't you dare. I think Mathieson said something like this, where he's like, people have been asking if we can get a female doctor, and I think this is kind of a wink and a nudge in that direction.
Turns out the answer to that was yes.
Yes. It was.
We can get a female doctor. There is now a female doctor.
And what happens?
Yeah,
they fight over the TARDIS.
See, this is what I mean. It's like,
they fight over the TARDIS, and it falls down
onto the tracks.
And Clara's like, shoot. And there's a train coming. And the doctor's like, my shields are down. They've drained too much energy. I'm going to die. And Clara's like, why don't you just, like, move the TARDIS? Like, there's no energy. And he's like, no, like Adam's family. And he's like, oh, good point.
So in the greatest shot of the episode, we see the Doctor's hand come out of the TARDIS, and he just sort of slides it along the tracks until it's out of the way.
I like how the gravitational stabilizer still have enough power to work, though. The Doctor was like, if the TARDIS landed with its full weight, it would crack the crust of the Earth.
Yeah. I liked all those funny lines in this. Normally those types of things fall flat for me, but
this week they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because you missed Doctor Who. You missed that humor.
Maybe Jamie Mathieson is just a comedic genius.
Maybe Jamie Mathieson is just better at it than everyone else. Well, then the Doctor, he's working good, but then the TARDIS falls over onto the track again, and he activates siege mode right before the train hits. And apparently that means he can't unactivate siege mode because there's not enough power.
Power 3 cube.
Yeah. He turns into a little battle TARDIS. And Clara and them eventually find it, and she's like, well, we're screwed, guys. Bonus are going to kill everyone on Earth.
Oh, we didn't mention the TUDIS.
Oh, right.
Forgot about the TUDIS.
The Doctor gives Clara the TUDIS.
The greatest Doctor Who device since the time flow analog.
Why did I know you were going to say that? Why did I know the instant you started that sentence that was where it was going?
Because the time flow analog
That's the only thing I even remember from that story, and Tom Tit.
You don't remember Kronos?
No! I just remember Tom Tit and the time flow analog.
You don't remember the dangerous experiments they were doing, like, unsolicited in the mansion?
Yeah, it was Tom Tit.
You don't remember what's her name from ancient Greece who was just walking around, like, half unclothed?
That just sounds a lot like Ghostlight.
But Ghostlight didn't have...
the time flow analog.
That or Kronos. Kronos was amazing. Just quick cuts of like a guy in a white sheet and a beak going like caw.
Now that you mention it, now that you actually describe it, I kind of remember it. Fragments.
The Master was in that one as well.
He was in that whole season.
Yeah,
wasn't
that was
he?
that was his like ultimate like culmination of what he'd been doing that season.
Oh, that's right. His culmination was to summon the bird person.
Probably better than whatever Missy's up to, honestly.
No,
She's been too behind the scenes, honestly.
I think when you find out she's actually doing it, kind of makes sense.
All right, we'll get there.
Next week. 2 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about In the Forest of the Night.
It's a fairly forgettable story.
Yeah, well. Clara realizes that the Doctor had been talking about getting energy back into the TARDIS, so she comes up with this ingenious plan where she has Riggsy paint a fake door, because they introduced this thing earlier where the bonus could flatten unflattened objects, because we've totally forgot to mention that they're from a 2D universe.
Yeah.
And
that's why they're so... Yeah, that's why they can't communicate. It's why they're so vastly different from anything the Doctor's ever encountered. It's why the TARDIS has no data on them, etc.
That's why they're draining energy from the TARDIS, is because they're trying to bring themselves into 3D. Because they're from a 2D universe.
One interesting thing the Doctor says is that, and this is kind of thrown out the window later, they actually are villainous, but the Doctor's like, we don't know anything about these creatures. Their method of communication might be something that's dangerous to us. They might just be killing us.
They might be dissecting us to understand us.
Yeah, or even like their means of communication might be something that kills us, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that, which is cool, I guess.
I mean, we still technically don't even know that at the end of the story.
Yeah, but it's hinted that it's like, all right, this is a malevolent
It's heavily
force.
hinted, yeah.
And then again, this is an entire race, so like it's not like all of them are malevolent, right? It might just be this group. Maybe these are just like rogue terrorists, like giving a bad name.
Pretty much all of the Daleks are evil. Pretty much all the Cybermen are evil. I don't think we ever saw a nice Croton or Dominator or Ogron.
What about that Ogron on Twitter?
Still.
You know the Ogron Twitter account I'm talking about?
No, I don't actually.
He's pretty nice.
I hope his Twitter handle is the nice Ogron, then.
I completely forgot what it was. Sorry. But it'll be in the notes. Follow him. He's pretty funny.
But yeah, so they introduced this thing where the bonus could reduce the dimensionality of door handles, and the TUDIS could restore and reduce. And so
I don't think it was just door handle. I think it was just like in general. They just used it for.
You could use it in general.
It's only for handles. It can't do well.
Also, this
else.
train shows up, and Clara's like, maybe we can ram them with the train.
This was like the weirdest thing is that like the train, not conductor, I don't know the engineer, I guess, the driver. He like becomes a part of their group.
He's like, I've always wanted to ram something. Can I do it? And as he says,
I should not be driving trains.
The train just starts driving away because Riggsy's driving it. And Clara jumps on and she's like, why? He's like, someone's got to hold the dead man switch. She's like, oh, I was just going to do it with this headband. But, I'll always remember you, that guy who died to save my headband that I just put right there. Wow, what a sacrifice. And Riggsy's like, wow, guess you forced my hand.
Yeah, so this is what I kind of meant by like Riggsy's character is like he was ready to sacrifice himself and stuff like that, and you get the sense that like he even wanted to, because even after Clara introduces the headband idea, he's very hesitant to get out of the seat,
right? Which
is interesting. You can see that he kind of wants to be heroic, but he's not.
Or might just want to be dead.
I don't know. I don't think this was like I don't think this was him being suicidal. I think this was him wanting to like take this stand. Maybe he just wants to be. Him.
Yeah, I think it's something like he wants to just be noticed, which ties into the whole graffiti thing, right? Which is why he tags things with his signature, right? Because some graffiti artists won't sign their work, but he always signs his work.
Not Riggsy.
Not Banksy.
Was Riggsy his graffiti name?
Yes, because we see his signature. Because totally forgot his name already. Fenton makes Riggsy start the painting on his signature. So.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, then Clara has Riggsy paint a fake door to trick the boneless
into using their powers of door handle flattening, which goes through the wall. Unflattening. Which goes through the wall and hits the TARDIS.
Yeah, the Doctor's been having some delirious, allegedly, thoughts. He's like, you're a good companion, Clara. Did great. You were great.
Yeah, he would never think that without being influenced by circumstances.
He's freezing. He thinks he's going to die. Probably just going to regenerate. And then again. But with the energy back, the Doctor deactivates siege mode and the TARDIS returns to regular size. And he has this little speech where he talks about how he tried really hard to communicate with them.
But he sees now that it's clear
that they're determined to be monsters.
Right. Which again, like, this is also just conjecture. We don't know. Maybe what he posited before was right, of like they're just trying to communicate.
Yeah.
But he names them the Boneless.
Well, he also
How do you like that?
He also says that since they're determined to play their role, he's going to have to be forced to play his, which is the man who banishes the monsters. He says banishes.
Yeah, some of this dialogue was a little.
It's not perfect. Clunky. It's not perfect, but I like the what's the word?
What, the over the topness, the heroism, the grandstanding,
the underlying theme.
You liked what it could have been. You liked the potential of it.
The potential, the idea. I liked the idea,
not the execution.
Yeah,
got it.
Why'd you say got it like? Why'd you say got it like that?
Because I'm just trying to figure all this out.
Aren't we all? Isn't life just one grand figuring it out?
Anyway, the Doctor names them the Boneless.
Well, it's kind of once you give them a name, you take the power away from them kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of an imperialism type thing. Interestingly enough, and then he kills them probably.
He banishes them and he says, some of you may survive the journey, but I won't know. Banishes them back to the 2D realm. He says this realm is protected, or this plane, sorry.
They could just invade elsewhere.
The 4th dimensional plane.
They should just, like, pop out on another planet the Doctor's never been to.
Yeah, and then the Doctor would be screwed, I guess.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have any energy to draw from. That was the thing, is they were drawing the energy off the TARDIS.
Oh, yeah, true.
To get into 3D, I mean. And then the Doctor takes everybody and drops them off. And this is what I was talking about with Fenton just... Fenton gets off the TARDIS. And he's just like, well, thanks. And the Doctor's like, okay. And he's like, yeah, some people died, but, probably no loss to society, honestly.
Yeah, I
And
know
then he
this
just
is
leaves.
I know this is a big moment for the episode, but this actually came across as like humorous to me in a way.
Well, because he's just so nonchalant. He's like, yeah, well, probably no loss to society. And
Yeah,
then he just walks
that's
off.
pretty much just what he
just
says, and
walks
he just
off.
like bails.
And then the doctor's like, yeah, perhaps some of the wrong people survived, but this is a nice moment between the doctor and Clara, because Clara's like, I mean, but we saved the world, right? Thinking in the numbers, and the doctor's like, she's like, that's how you do it, right? And he's like, yeah, I do it so nobody else has to, though.
Ooh, admitting it. Doctor's never admitted it before.
I mean, I think he's always done it.
He's just dodged the question the like 3 times it's been brought up.
And then he says, like, well, maybe some of the wrong people survive, but, you know, we can't control that.
Yeah, like
as long as we
Rigsy.
saved some people.
Kidding.
Hey, Rigsy.
No.
What do you have against
No,
Rigsy?
I'm kidding. I mean, it's obvious that he's, implying, Fenton there.
Yeah. Especially since Fenton's the one who walks up right before that statement and goes, well, oh well.
No skin off my back. Skin off the back of the guy who got his skin transferred into the wall.
And then Clara's like, why can't you just admit I was good? And the doctor's like, you were an exceptional doctor. Goodness had nothing to do with it. Kind of going back to Into the Dalek.
Sick burn.
Well, it goes back to Into the Dalek, where Rusty was like, you would make a good Dalek, and that whole dichotomy between good in that episode, good being like good versus evil, and good being like good at your job kind of thing.
Sure.
And he's kind of saying, yeah, you did great as the doctor, but that doesn't mean you're a good person.
Right.
Which is the thing the doctor's been grappling with the whole season. So it was nice to see it come up here where he just dumpsters all over Clara with it. He's like, now you see what I'm dealing with, Clara.
Which also...
Boom!
Should have said it like that.
Then he slams the TARDIS door shut and dematerializes and leaves her in the middle of nowhere like, woo!
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, what all this means is that he's really just dissing himself.
Yeah, but that's like, Time Heist, where he's like, what do I know about the architect? I hate him more than anyone else in the universe, and that's how he figures out that it's himself.
Ooh, okay, whatever.
He just walks away from himself in the mirror like, oh, I got you. I don't know, I think this story had a lot of good ideas. It got a lot of good themes with, what it means to be the Doctor and what it means to be a good person in that context.
Sure, yeah. For once, I think I'm just going to say my favorite thing in this was how, much of a dick the Doctor was to everyone. Like, when he first meets Rigsy, he's really being sarcastic, and he's just making all these comments to everyone. They can't hear him, obviously, because he's just talking into the earpiece, but yeah, that was sort of my favorite bit from this episode, I guess.
I mean, he's not being as much of a dick as he was in Deep Breath, though. There's been character development.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
I mean,
you liked character development.
No, I've been saying this the whole time of, I'm dreading the Doctor opening up and becoming a better person.
Wow.
This is great.
What a cynical
This
viewpoint.
is great.
What
You
a
should just
cynical
stay like
way to
this.
view the world.
You should just stay like this.
I disagree. Strongly disagree.
Or, how about this? He should have all this development, right, where he opens up.
You're going to say in, the final episode only?
No, and in the final maybe 10 minutes, he should realize that he was mistaken and go back to his old ways.
Nope. Nope.avi. There's an ancient internet meme for you.
It's not that old.
In terms of internet age, it's pretty old. In internet years, it's 50.
That should be a thing, internet years, just to age or date memes.
How is it not a thing yet? I'm surprised. I don't know. I enjoyed this story. I actually did enjoy this story.
I did as well, just not very much. Just to a minimal extent, I did enjoy it.
Well, I enjoyed it over a substantial portion of the rest of the season.
Give it a 4? 4 out of 5? Is that what you would say that it is?
It's like when I was ranking the rides at Disneyland yesterday. That was about an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Put Hyperspace Mountain at an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
You sound like you disagree.
I don't like rides that jerk you around.
Isn't that every ride?
No, it's not.
Wait a minute.
It's not. It's real. I'm like, it's not. I'm joking about it, but it's true. It's not.
Well, on that bombshell, if you'd like to email us, you can reach us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Jamie Mathieson. It's 2 episodes down. You can find us on YouTube at Trust Your Doctor, Decorative Vegetable, actually. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. Next time, we're watching In the Forest of the Night. But until then, the end.